Go. Greetings. I am Shresi Rao. My colleague Sneha Koshi and I are Teach for India Fellows. We teach in government and low-income private schools in Bangalore, Karnataka. The COVID-19 pandemic has been devastating to India's education system. And as teachers, we witnessed this firsthand. Student enrollment, attendance, and academic engagement have been at an all-time low, and learning outcomes have plummeted over the last 16 months. One of the most concerning aspects of school closures, however, has to be the large number of students dropping out or simply missing from schools. As of 2021, current research validates some of what we've seen in our classrooms. A significant number of students who were listed on the attendance roster were inaccessible and just absent. A National Statistics Office survey shows that only around 1/4 of Indian households have had some form of internet access. The Annual Survey of Education report for 2020 observes that only 11% of all enrolled students were attending online classes. Additionally, young girls have borne the brunt of this inequity. More male students had access to technology compared to female students. We observed that school closures had impacted the learning outcomes of our students as well. Many had forgotten what they'd learned before the pandemic, and this was substantiated by Azim Premji University's report that showed 92% of children, on average, had lost one specific language ability over the past year. As practitioners, on comparing available research to post-pandemic education with experiences from our classrooms, we were able to identify a few key knowledge gaps. The first, available research focuses on enrollment data to calculate dropout rates, and there is very little emphasis on student attendance. However, in order to learn effectively, students do need to be consistently present and participative in class. Emphasizing solely on enrollment does very little to track learning outcomes for students. Secondly, there's also an evident lack of qualitative analysis of the current reality through stakeholder perspectives. Stories from schools are necessary to construct a holistic picture of the realities of students affected by the pandemic. So if available research is not looking at two extremely important parts of the problem of dropouts, then perhaps we're looking at all of this completely wrong. Our knowledge about dropout rates is incomplete. How can we attempt to fix a problem if we're not articulating it properly? Our question then is perhaps not only how to bring kids back to school, but how to retain them as well. So in our attempt to identify and understand the realities of out-of-school children, we conducted cross-sectional structured interviews with teachers employed by a prominent NGO who intervene in government and low-income private schools in urban areas across the country. In addition to this, we conducted a descriptive analysis of 30,000 students' attendance data and academic data across the academic years of 2016-17 to 2020-21. These students were enrolled in government, low-income private, or public-private partnership schools. They had an average of 5 years of NGO intervention. Using this data, we compared student literacy data with attendance and academic engagement. This was measured through daily homework and test completion for 8 months.
Our research threw up some major findings. Through our interviews with teachers and parents, we have seen that lost learning and trauma are caused by school closures, and consequently also keeps children from consistently attending school. Consequently, we have also observed a significant difference between student enrollment and attendance figures. Attendance, engagement, and literacy levels have a strong correlation. We have observed that students with less than 30% annual average attendance and less than 30% annual engagement perform at least one grade level lower than their peers. Through analyzing student literacy data from 2016-17 to 2020-21, we have observed that there has been a visible dip in academic performance from the end of 2019 to the beginning of 2020. Well, looking closer at trauma, we have been able to focus in on 3 major causes of trauma and their effects on student learning. The first is the loss of family income. Families from lower socioeconomic groups have faced the worst of this pandemic. Loss of work and income has forced many to move back to their hometowns in rural areas. Secondary grade students have been separated from their parents and sent to relatives' homes to take care of elderly and ailing family members. With little to no digital access, it is near impossible to ensure that these students attend classes. Interestingly enough, most of these students are still enrolled in schools. The financial burden that some that comes with the lockdowns has pushed young children into the workforce prematurely. The Right to Education Act of 2009 mandates free and compulsory education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14. Secondary and senior secondary grade students are not supported by the Act and have resorted to working in order to support their families. Students who are out of school are also more susceptible to alcohol and drug abuse in unsafe company. The last is that of gender violence and abuse. Students are now spending extended amounts of time at home and are thus more vulnerable to sexual and domestic violence. Many girls have had to take care of younger siblings, family members, and have been responsible for household chores. A significant number also accompany their parents to work, and some interviewees reported to us that some of these minor girls are being forced into sex work or into marriages. All of these either limit or entirely stop girls from accessing learning. Conversations with teachers have revealed a vicious cycle of lost learning. Students have forgotten most of what they've learned right before the pandemic and have come back several grade levels lower than where they used to be. Classrooms have become hostile spaces, and suddenly lessons are far too confusing and advanced. These students often become extremely anxious and overwhelmed and refuse to enter the classrooms. Such students are often overwhelmed and prefer to stay out of school or study in lower grade classrooms. Now, schools, however, are not designed to accommodate this. Through our interviews, we have learned that most students prefer a feeling of comfort and stability rather than being pushed towards high academic achievement. These students desperately need intensive remediation to feel at par with their peers.
In order to understand the impact of attendance and engagement on student learning outcomes, we drew comparisons and found a very strong correlation. In this graph, the green line represents a first-class target for RC levels. These are levels where students should ideally be at. And the blue pass target indicates the minimum required RC level. As evident in the graph, students with less than 30% annual attendance are at least a whole grade level lower than their peers. For example, an 8th grader with less than 30% attendance is reading at a 2.45 RC level. This is lower than the reading comprehension level of a 7th grade student who attends classes regularly, which is at a 2.92. Similarly, we observed that students with less than 30% engagement had almost exactly the same reading comprehension levels as those with less than 30% attendance. From this, we concluded that students were not engaging with study material. If students were not engaging, they were not learning. From our research, we'd say that students with less than 30% attendance, therefore, were effectively out of school, regardless of whether they were enrolled or not. This graph shows the reading comprehension level growth of 2nd grade students from 2017 to 2021. The same cohort of students have now been promoted to the 6th grade. Until 2019, these students were well above the first class target, and as the pandemic hit, their growth immediately declined. As of 2021, they failed to hit the minimum reading comprehension level requirement. Much like the previous graph, this tracks the progress of a group of 6th graders in 2017. Evidently, the pandemic has widened the gap between the first class target and their actual RC levels. Of the 30,000 students whose data we had access to, only 1/3 attended over 70% of their classes. Of this, 80% were accessible during the pandemic. 40% had lower than 30% attendance, and by our metric were effectively out of school for 16 months. With schools under government pressure to ensure student enrollment and admission, school management committees push parents to either enroll or take a transfer certificate. As one headmaster said, let them take admission first. Whether they attend or not is up to them. Our data and our research obviously have their scopes and limitations. The data was collected from 6 major cities. The data we have analyzed comes from NGO intervention classrooms in government, public-private partnership, and low-income private schools. So this really paints a picture of urban educational poverty. We predict that the situation in rural communities could be far, far worse.
As we identified the significant impact of the pandemic on attendance, enrollment, and literacy levels of the students, we also looked to recommend feasible future directions and policy interventions. We propose unique student IDs to monitor attendance and learning outcomes. As all the educators are creating architecture for online learning, we recommend National Education Policy 2020 to accommodate data reflective practices for teachers. They must revise assessment methodology and ensure students are grade ready before promotion. This must be done through extensive remediation and bridge courses. In order to ensure secondary students are given a chance to continue their education, we believe RTE should be extended for students of 14 to 18 years. Lastly, and most importantly, as students and teachers are attempting to heal from the effects of the pandemic, it is imperative that the government prioritizes K-12 public education and invests heavily into it. Here are our acknowledgements, and here are our references. Please feel free to fill the form in the description box for any feedback or questions you may have. Thank you.